Hi guys. So in the Battlegrounds community, everybody and their mother did a tier list. I promised I would do one if I hit a 10k rating. And if you watched my Twitch stream last night, I hit 10,000 MMR and I hit #1 Europe at the same time. Now I think I'm #2 Europe as of making this video, but I'm going to try probably before the video will be posted live on my stream, maybe even after, who knows, to get #1 back. But pretty much I want to share my thoughts on what I think are the good Battlegrounds heroes. Obviously it will change. They said that they will have a patch planned for 5th of December. I will probably do another tier list once the patch hits and I get some time to play with the new heroes. So I should probably do some more YouTube exclusive Battlegrounds content because I've been lacking on that and it's mostly just stream highlights. I value Bran, and I think Bran is the best hero because right now in Battlegrounds, it's very important to be strong in the early game. If you're not strong in the early game, especially in high-level lobbies, you will just get bullied out of the game. I had games with heroes like Toki, heroes like Bartendertron, heroes like Patchwork even, where I just got massively bullied by my opponents. What does that mean? You get a bad unit on turn 1, and you lose the first fight, you lose the second fight, you take already 5 damage. Third fight you face AFK, you take 10. Then you face somebody who just has a better board because they got some buffs going, you take 8 more. Then you can face AFK again, you get the story. There's so many games where you take 20-25 damage in the first 6 rounds just because your hero is not buffing your minions, just because your hero didn't get good picks, just because your hero sucks. So Bran is the most likely to have a very powerful start because so many of the good minions, so many of the early minions are battle cries. And they buff each other, they create tokens, and then Bran buffs them. It's just really good. Late game, he's not insane, but he's more useful in late game than most other early game heroes, such as Rat King, Yogg, which you don't even use the hero power of. Curator may be better late game if you can buff the amalgam a lot, but Curator is also weaker early game than Bran. So I think Bran is an insta pick and probably the best hero. I have a controversial pick for the second best as Nefarian. I think most of my wins are with Nefarian, or okay, the hero I have most wins on is Nefarian. Why? Because if you reach end game, which is like, I don't know, top 4, top 3, you almost always win. Unless your team composition is way weaker than your opponents, you're just gonna destroy them because Divine Shields are seriously overpowered in this game mode, and pretty much everybody ends up having some Divine Shields. Nefarian just pops their bubbles while you have your own bubbles. So you have a tremendously high advantage while playing Nefarian. He's not that good early game. He's one of those heroes that can get bullied. I had games with Nefarian where I just took 20 damage, as I previously said. But he's so good late game, I don't even care how weak his early game is. So I'm going to pick Nefarian over everything other than Bran. I don't know, if it's a super high yellow game, maybe Yogg is better than Nefarian just to like play it safe and have a good early game. But I would rather go for the win and pick Nefarian, struggle for the early game. You probably have to do plays such as not leveling on 7 gold to Tavern 3, and then buying 2 units and hero powering, especially if you're losing fights, and then basically just slowly leveling. You level slower than the other people, focus more on building a board, focus more on buying, just always improving your board, and starting with turn 7, you can actually press the hero power in most of your turns, and that's gonna sustainably get you to late game. If you get to late game, you just win. So there is a different playstyle with Nefarian than you have with other heroes. Again, you don't level aggressively unless you're completely dominating, which is going to be rare because your hero doesn't buff minions in the early game. But I think Nefarian is underrated and really, really, really powerful. Yogg. I used to not like Yogg. I used to have him as like a bad pick, like even worse than A tier. I would have picked Patchwork over Yogg. I changed my mind. Once I played some games where I got bullied and took 20 damage in the first rounds, I learned to appreciate how powerful Yogg is. The Yogg playstyle is pretty simple. You always hero power on 1. The reroll is pretty useless, but The reroll, basically, you reroll when you get offered the Wrath Weaver, or basically a 1-1. You don't want that. Or if you get offered like a mediocre board of like 2 Mecharus and the Righteous Protector, you probably just roll. You want to hit Rockpool, you want to hit Vulgar Homunculus. I don't know. Doesn't really matter what you hit. It's going to probably win or tie the first 2 fights, unless you're unlucky. The power of Yogg comes that you don't really need to play for tokens. Tokens are really good to buy on turn 1, just because you can sell the token that was generated on 5 gold, and then buy 2 units, and then go turn with 6 gold and buy 2 more units. That's seriously powerful. That's the main reasons why tokens are good. But they make you lose fights. They have very bad stats, especially Alicat, and you very often can pick Alicat turn 1 and then take 5 damage. Yogg helps that you're gonna win your fights by hero powering, and on turn 5 you don't need to worry about tokens because you just hero power a minion and then buy another minion. So Yogg's turn for 5 gold is amazing. Yogg's turn 1 is amazing. You level to Tavern 2 on turn 2, by the way, with most heroes. Bartendertron is the only exception where you sometimes might not level on turn 2. But usually it's you buy on 1, ideally a token, you level on 2, you sell the generated token and you buy 2, and then you buy 2 again. If you don't have a token, what you do is you try, on 5 gold you try to use your 2 rerolls to look for an amalgam or for like a really good unit, but you're most likely going to end up being behind in that situation. Anyways, I talk more about general gameplay on my stream. I try to be as educational as I possibly can, so you can tune into that if you want to see more about my playstyle. What I'm saying is Yogg gives you good early game. After turn 7, 8, when you're Tavern 3 or 4, I'm not even sure if you hero power again. Maybe like at the end of your turn, if you have 2 gold and you want to replace a unit, or if you have 1 gold and you want to replace a unit, maybe you can hero power, but Yogg's power mostly comes from giving you a good early game, which a lot of other heroes lack. Daryl is very good and very hard to play. I'm still not sure what's the best playstyle with Daryl. You mostly just want to buy all the tokens with Daryl, sell a lot of things, dance on minions. It's very complicated playstyle, and I would recommend watching somebody like Dog playing the Daryl. I also played it to decent success, but I'm never dominating games with Daryl. I always find myself getting top 3, but like very rarely winning. So I need to look into that, and maybe I'll find some flaws into my playstyle. I still think he's very good because you can build very powerful mid-game boards that almost always get you into top 4, and I value that a lot. AFK is really good. She got a bit worse after Junkbot nerf. People made calculations that you should discover the free drop before the 4 drop. I don't really think it matters that much, but a really good AFK start is going to put you into top 4 for sure. A really bad AFK start is still not that bad because you have some overstated minions, and as long as you don't pick the wrong thing, you're gonna be fine. I don't value her that highly because you take 6-7 damage in the beginning, but the thing is, a lot of other heroes are going to take 6-7 damage anyways, so you might as well start the game with a head start. That's why I think AFK is actually pretty good. Rat King is super weird to me because you have some games where you completely dab on your opponents and pick the absolute best minions you possibly can and have amazing boards. He's able to make the most powerful boards out of any of those presented earlier. But you have some games where he's absolutely unplayable and the hero power you get never is the same as the minions you're offered. And then you have no synergy and you're worse than... Okay, you're not worse than Shadowwalk. Nobody's worse than Shadowwalk. But you're way worse than the other buffers. Same applies to Curator to some extent. If you get all the buffs possible, Curator is great because you just buff the Amalgam. But you can have some games where you hit no buffs and you're stuck with a 1-1 or with a 2-2 the entire game. So that's why I don't rate Rat King and Curator as well as Bran. But they're still good. Sindragosa is the next on my list, mostly because you just freeze. So basically the playstyle is you buy something that can win fights. So most likely the most powerful minion offered, like a Rockpool would be great. And then you freeze. Turn 2, you level, freeze. Turn 3, ideally you have a token either in the minion that you bought or in one of the minions that you're frozen or were Wolford. If you don't have a token, you kind of have to sell your minion and buy 2. If you have a token, just sell the generated token and buy 2. Freeze again. On 6 gold, buy 2. Only freeze if it's something that you would want next turn. And then it's either you buy and level, or you buy reroll, or you buy reroll buy. And after turn 7, you don't force yourself into freezing. You only freeze if you would normally freeze with other heroes as well. So sometimes, but not really. Sindragosa's power is just giving you good early game, but it's way weaker than others. It's weaker than Yogg because it takes a lot of time to go into effect and you have to pay the full cost for the minions. Sometimes you are going to be stuck with selling a 2-free to buy 2 units where you don't have the token. Whereas Yogg doesn't have that problem. So that's why I rate Yogg better than Sindragosa. But they're both similar in that they give you a very good early game and don't scale that well late game. AK Zamzarak, I rate very highly, not because you can get block and cheese the top 4, but he can also do that. Mostly because he has very good late game. Splitting image, amazing on a buffed amalgam. The auto defense metrics, amazing as well. And basically you're forcing yourself into a buff amalgam game plan when you're playing AK Zamzarak. But that's not really a problem. It's a very good strategy to go for regardless of what you're playing. So I like AK Zamzarak. He has serious late game. Again, the problem is he has very bad early game. I would not pick it over any of the good early game heroes, but I would always pick it over the heroes that don't have good early game anyways. You could say maybe you pick Brian or Patches over AK Zamzarak because they have better mid game, but I don't know. I think AK Zamzarak wins games quite more often than Rag or Patches. Rag or Patches are not bad. I won games with both. Now, a hero that a lot of people consider to be S tier, but I don't like it, maybe I'll grow to like it more in the future, is Patchwork. I had some really bad Patchwork experiences where I just lost the early game because I don't have a hero power. I only have the extra health. And then I took so much damage mid-game, like 20 per fight for like 2 fights, that it didn't matter that I had 20 extra. And I just died. So I would always play an early game hero over playing Patchwork. But if I'm offered Patchwork and 2 really bad heroes, obviously I'll pick Patchwork and try to do my best with it. I just don't think it's as amazing as other people think. People are like, oh, 50% extra health, it's insane. Like, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is not. Georgie. He's okay. He's mostly not insane because Nefarian destroys him, and because his hero power costs 4, so he's not an early game hero. His hero power is very useless until late game, but he has serious late game. George is a very good hero to win games. He gets first a lot, he also gets 7th, 8th a lot. It's a high risk pick, but he's pretty good. Lich King can consistently cheese top 4s. I just don't see him winning that often, but he's not a bad hero either. He's fine. He's totally okay. I just don't like his hero power that much because it's only good on Gas Coiler, or I forgot the name of the 6-star unit that summons mechs. It's also good on Shredder, Piloted Sky Golem, and Divine Shield Taunt. But again, it's not amazing. It's fine. It's playable. Patrick and Rag, I used to think they're unplayable, but with how aggressive people are playing, especially in Europe, they grown onto me. Obviously, I'm not going to pick them over any of the better heroes, but if I'm offered Patches or Ragnaros and bottom tier picks, I would always pick them over them. I don't like Bartender and Elise. They have decent game plans, but they just not good in the early game, and they sometimes end up taking a lot of damage. If you happen to have a good early game and you don't take damage, they can scale pretty well. They both offer you fast leveling and you get rewarded for leveling, basically. Bartender Tron can have some cheesy strategies like buy unit on turn 1, buy on turn 2, and then on 3 you can level and buy another one, which I wouldn't do that often, but I would do if I have like a very bad buy on turn 1 and I'm offered a very good buy on turn 2. But what you do with Bartendertron is you buy something on 1 and then on 2 you level up and you reroll, and you have the highest chances amongst all players to hit Amalgam. And then you can buy the Amalgam by selling a token, and you do some really good shenanigans. And then you also level up for cheap. You can ramp and you can scale that Amalgam and go crazy, but it doesn't happen every single game. Hence he's C tier, but he's also not useless. Toki is only pretty much good if you hit Tavern tier 4 plus, and you have, again, games where you take 20 damage until you hit Tavern tier 4, so I don't really rate her that highly, but I'll pick her over all the useless heroes. I had a game where I was so frustrated I died as 8th place as Toki, and then I was offered Toki and Pyramid, and I picked Pyramid and won the game, but it's mostly a meme. I think Toki would have been better. I was just trolling. Putricide is good because you buff Cleaves, and is better than having a useless hero, but he's not amazing. Jaraxxus, Pyramid, Toggle, whatever her name is, the Coin Guy, Finley, Shadowrock. I did not even bother ordering them from the best to the worst. Probably Shadowrock is the best, followed by the Coin Guy, followed by Finley, followed by Jaraxxus, followed by Togwaggle, followed by Pyramid being the worst. But I just couldn't bother ordering them. They're just so bad. You should try to avoid them, never pick them. They're basically blank hero power. People are gonna say like, oh, Shadowwalk and Pogos. No. Shadowwalk is like sometimes okay when you have a very good early game, and then you're basically spending 2 gold to rent a Bran for the next minion only. I don't know about that, but I don't know. It's playable to some extent. You can win games with it, but it happens very rarely. And the others I just wouldn't bother with. I hope they rotate some of those bad heroes out for some better ones to spice up things up. And I want to see a world where most, if not all, the heroes are good and have playable, nice skill sets for the players to utilize. Okay, with this said, it was a pretty lengthy review, but I hope you enjoy it. And you can find me on Twitch playing Battlegrounds a lot. I'm also going to play the new expansion a lot. I'm basically just playing Hearthstone all day, either Battlegrounds or Constructed. So make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit the like button if you want to see more exclusive content. And you can also find me on Twitch, as I previously said. See you in the next video. Have a great day, guys.